Okay, welcome to uh, Soft Skills, Smart Moves. This is a catchy little title I've given to this session, but the subtitle really is the five essential skills to boost your career. And I'm Rahman Akhtar. I'll give you a nice introduction in a few seconds, but I hope that you've all found yourself a quiet space so you can focus on this session. I've worked hard to make it really interesting for you, so all I need you to do is focus. The one distraction that applies in all sessions nowadays is the mobile. So if you can, resist going on that mobile for the next 30 to 45 minutes, that would be fantastic. Please do take notes throughout this session, and I will be doing a question and answer session at the end. And I would love to have your questions and do my best to answer them for you. Please be curious. Please be open-minded. I'm not the smartest cookie in the room, as I always, remind my attendees. There's a lot of intelligence and IQ in this room, and I want to make use of that. So, if everyone is ready, I'd like to get going. Um, Really, I'd love to explain a little bit about your path to career and personal success in terms of what we'll cover in this session. The first thing I'll do is just bring everyone onto the same, hymn sheet, if you like. What exactly are soft skills? We hear a lot of this term, but I'd like to get crystal clarity on what exactly they cover, what they are, and what aren't they. Secondly, we'll look at why do they matter so much, and then I'll tell you the top five skills that employers are looking for. And I'll give you scientific research behind this. It's not just going to be my opinion. Then we'll look at how you can build your soft skills. And finally, we'll have a little Q&A session. So if that all sounds fine, let's get going. So before I start the session, you may have heard my name, you may already be familiar with me, but just to give you a very quick, brief background on who I am, the name, as you know, is Rahman Akhtar. I was born in Pakistan, but I'm Brit, having moved there at the age of 4. I'm the founder of the platform and website hellorahman.com. Catchy, right? Studied mechanical engineering in London at the City University. I am a training and development consultant specializing in soft skills and leadership training. And I'm a facilitator with 23 years experience at Aramco, which is one of the biggest, most profitable companies in the world. It's the energy giant based in Saudi Arabia. I am a public speaker, having spoken in about 10 countries so far and counting. I am an event master of ceremonies. I am author. I'm actually the co-author of Advice to Your Younger Self, where I was asked to be one of the authors giving advice if you met your 20-year-old self. And I think I was about my mid 50s when I wrote this book, or I wrote the chapter in this book. And what an interesting experience that was. It really was amazing. I'm a mentor to many people. I'm also a stand up comedian. And Google my name, and you shall find some of the shows I've done in the past. And I actually bring my stand up comedy background into how I engage audiences. And we'll maybe even have a few laughs during this session if you're lucky. I help professionals at all levels become better communicators and presenters. I help to increase their self confidence and unlock their true career potential. I'm very proud to be able to do that for people of all walks of life and all nationalities, backgrounds, career levels, whether you are a fresh graduate or whether you're a mid level management, high potential manager, leader, or even I've worked with senior executives. What's my bigger mission? Well, the biggest thing I really want to achieve is that I want to help professionals live a more satisfying and fulfilling life, whether that's work or personal. We all get so stressed out, don't we, in our careers and our work lives, that we sometimes forget that life is about being satisfying and fulfilling. So I love helping people do that. I want to contribute to Vision 2030 in Saudi Arabia, or the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And that's not very far away, is it? It's kind of less than 3 years now. So it's certainly an exciting time in Saudi. And I'd like to make my own little Rahman's contribution to that. So, let me put you the hypothesis right at the beginning. Soft skills are really important. Now, I can say that until the cows come home, but you'll only believe me when you see the evidence. Well, for me, they were an absolute game changer. I went from a little kid in running around the streets of Sialkot in the Punjab in Pakistan to working as a senior consultant for one of the world's largest companies. And that kind of trajectory, that story, although it did have elements of luck, I feel that, focus and a special focus on soft skills really helped me. So, with that in mind, let's see how much I can help you with your soft skills and to do this similar success in your life. But you don't have to take my word for this little fact that soft skills are important. Let's look at the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report. Now, if you've never heard of World Economic Forum, um, it's an organization which produces this future jobs report every 5 years. And rather conveniently, the last one they produced was just last year in 2025. And what this report does, and by the way, it's freely available online, no charge at all. You can download the whole report if you want to read it. It brings together the perspective of more than 1,000 leading global employers. And these employers collectively represent 14 million workers across 22 industrial clusters and 55 economies from around the world. That's amazing. So it's not a small sample set they're using. And the report really examines how macro trends impact jobs and skills and how workforce transformation strategies, which strategies employers plan to embark on in the 25 to 2030 timeframe. Now, I say 25 to 2030 because 2030 is the next time the Future of Jobs report is going to happen. Remember, it only happens every 5 years. So this information should be really, really interesting to anyone who would like to see what's happening in the job market. Maybe they want to take part in the job market, whether graduates, undergraduates, or young leaders. Very, very interesting stuff. Now, let me save you the bother of reading the whole report and let me kind of divulge the major drivers expected to shape and transform the global market by 2030. You're listening? Let's focus. Firstly, which is not a surprise, technological change because it's getting faster and faster now, right? Geoeconomic fragmentation. Nowadays, the countries that used to be superpowers are no longer superpowers, and we've got superpowers emerging. The technology centers are changing. There's so much geoeconomic stuff happening at the moment. There's a lot of economic uncertainty. A lot of people have certainly suddenly started experience economic certainty with wars happening all over the world, financial markets in meltdown, and suddenly you're seeing the financial centers are shifting, right? That the Western countries are slightly struggling at the moment, whereas places like the Middle East and Far East and India are seem to be in their ascendancy at the moment. Demographic shifts. People are now much more mobile. One that comes to mind immediately is there's a lot of people, for example, moving from the UK and Europe to the Middle East at the moment. So many little shifts happening like that are going to change the future of how jobs are viewed. The green transition, suddenly sustainability is becoming a big factor on the scene, right? If you would like to download the report, you can either just Google WE Forum, wefforum.org, or you can use this link. So you can freeze this or pause this screen for a second if you're watching the recording and copy paste this link and you can download the whole report for free. There you go. So let me again make things a little simple for you. Perhaps you can take a look at this graph or this table, which shows the top 10 skills as in 2020 and then the top 10 skills in 2025. I'd like you to take a look at this screen for a few moments and have a look at the trends. What was there in 2020 that suddenly isn't there now? Or what is there now in 2025 that just wasn't around back in 2020? So we've got analytical thinking right up there, and analytical thinking is number one again. So it's obvious that employers are really looking for people who can think analytically. Now, active learning and learning strategies. Look at that. It was number two, but now it's appearing in the form at number eight of curiosity and lifelong learning, and creative thinking is coming up higher. And look at number four in 2025, AI, of course, and big data are making an appearance. Technology literacy is again an amazing thing that's suddenly appeared here, and it was number seven back in 2020, right? So very interesting few trends now. Resilience, stress tolerance, and flexibility was number nine, and it jumped all the way to number two now. They want people who are resilient, flexible, and are agile. Now, let me highlight some of the key ones in 2025. What do you think? Have a look at the ones I've highlighted and what's in common between them: analytical thinking, resilience, flexibility, agility, leadership, social influence, creative thinking, curiosity and lifelong learning, and motivation and self awareness. Well, the link is they are all soft skills. I'll explain in a minute very clearly what soft skills are, but isn't it amazing that out of the 10 top skills required by companies, the biggest companies in 2025, one, two, three, four, five, six of them are soft skills. Amazing. This really shows that you're in the right place and you're in the right webinar. So let's make it really, really clear now. What is the difference between hard skills and soft skills? Well, hard skills are things like your technical expertise. You may have certifications in like computer technology, database administration, cybersecurity. These are all hard skills. Or you may have specific software proficiency, software that you are licensed with and skilled in. Now, soft skills, on the other hand, are things like communication, teamwork, adaptability, emotional intelligence, and more. Can you see the difference? And you see the kind of difference between the two? If I can make it even more clearer for you, how about I put it like this? But before I do that, think to yourself, which matters more for success? Is it your technical ability or your soft skills? Have a little think about that and imagine, there's no right or wrong answer here. What would you say, Ms. Mabina? What would you say are the more important of the two, hard skills or soft skills? Any opinion?
I think soft skills, because despite having all kinds of technical expertise and
Mhm.
degrees and
Mhm.
certifications,
Mhm.
um, I've seen people not progressing as they should.
Mhm.
Because of their qualification,
Mhm.
because they don't have that, they don't have that spark
Mhm.
in them to move to, get into even things like, small talk, and
Absolutely.
things like, yes, things are like, taking up the charge like a
Mhm.
leader.
Mhm.
If you don't have these things, I don't think there is a way for to progress in this society.
I
So
like the
we
way you
need
put that.
soft skills.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
I love the way you put that, because no matter how many technical skills you have, how good you are at a technical skill, unless you have the ability to communicate that or to work within a team, then what use are they, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Excellent. I love that input. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, having said that, let's just now define for anyone in the audience who's been hearing this term soft skills banded around, but just wants crystal clarity on what it actually is. So, if I give you the dictionary definition, if you Google soft skills today, you would get this dictionary interpretation or explanation. It would be interpersonal qualities. So that's the first thing to understand. It's interpersonal qualities and personal attributes that dictate how effectively you interact with others, respond to challenges, and adapt to different environments. Can you see I've highlighted some of the key words there in yellow? And so it's all about how effectively you interact with others and you respond to challenges and how you cope with changes as your environment changes. Think of it this way. If you think of it this way, hard skills is what you know, and soft skills is how you apply what you know and
Yes.
collaborate with others to achieve the goals. Yes? Would you agree there?
Yes.
Mm, absolutely. So, if you are asked tomorrow that I see you attended a session with Rahman on soft skills, tell me what is the difference between hard skills and soft skills? You don't need to remember any definitions. You don't need to remember any of the, long-winded explanations. You just say hard skills is what you know, the technical skills. Soft skills is how you apply that and how you collaborate with others in achieving goals. And I guess you could add that little bit at the end saying how you adapt to different changing environments. So there you go. I hope that clarifies in your mind exactly what hard and soft skills are. So let's
Yes.
have a good stuff, good stuff. Let's meet Alex and Ben. What can you pick up? Let's imagine that these guys are both going to go into an interview for a job. Alex is on the left and Ben is on the right. What are you picking up from the body language of these two people? What do you think, Mabina?
I think Alex is maybe nervous,
Yeah.
and he's not sure about himself.
Mhm. Because you can tell
And
from his eye contact, right?
yeah,
He's looking down,
yes,
not looking too happy.
yes,
But
yeah. And Ben seems more confident,
Mhm.
and he can look into the eye of the
There you
person
go.
in front of him,
Mm.
and he'll do much better than Alex.
Great. So it's open
The way
body.
he stands.
Absolutely. Open body posture, smartly dressed, smiling,
Yes.
and engaging. Now, one thing I want to sort of emphasize is that there's no suggestion here that either one is brainier or more competent than the other. In fact,
Yes.
Alex looks a bit more brainy, right, with his bookworm kind
Yes. He
of.
seems nerdy. Nerdy.
Ah, that's the word I was looking for. Nerdy, absolutely. And
Yeah.
nerdy people are required at work, but it's unfortunate, isn't it, that sometimes nerdy
Mm.
people get overlooked when it comes for interviews and job openings because people
Yes.
like Ben are seen as more suitable. Let's back that up with a bit of statistics. Did you know that a staggering 92% of hiring managers report that soft skills are just as important, if not more important, than hard skills when evaluating candidates. And you said that just a few slides back, Mabina. What's the use of
Yes.
being technologically brilliant, like what was his name, Ben? Whereas you need to be
Yes.
very, very confident and able to communicate. So
Yes.
I knew there was a difference, but I honestly didn't realize that 92% of hiring managers feel this way. So this should be a wake-up call to anyone who's watching this webinar who might be going for an interview, or maybe you're a young, fresh graduate trying to go for promotion. And this shows you that soft skills are really, really important. This is straight from
Mm.
hiring managers. So before we go on to actually defining soft skills more or finding out which the top five are that employers are looking for, let's just try to clarify in our minds four ways in which soft skills directly impact your career? First one would be, as we've just said, promotions and leadership. Why would anyone want to promote someone who is unable to do all the things that we decided soft skills were about? Communicating with clarity, coping with change, and leading, and all of these things. So the people generally with higher soft skills tend to get promoted, and I would say even given the job in the first place. Teamwork and collaboration, it's really helped when you are a better soft skills communicator, okay?
Yes.
Yeah, and network and influence, of course. Why would it affect your network and influence? People love working with people who are
Mm.
positive, yes, and people who lead and people who communicate. It's obvious. Would you want to work with someone who's just completely looking at their shoes all the time, like Ben? Or would you like to work with someone like Alex, who's always supremely confident? Um,
Yes.
it gives you job security because you are seen as someone who's always alert and able to cope with changes, as opposed to someone who will crumble at the first sign of any change. You certainly will have higher job security, right? And many, many more. There are many, many advantages to your positions. Um, I'm just going to have a quick look in the lobby to make sure there's no one else trying to come into this webinar. That's good. No one is. Right. That's fine. So all these advantages. Now, this guy looks very happy, right? Because soft skills also enhance your personal life. And I am a testament to this, and I believe, Mabina, you very much will also be, because you're a very bright, cheerful person, and I really appreciate that. You end up with having
Thank
stronger relationships. I've
you.
seen,
Yeah.
yeah, I've seen many, many couples where one partner is, very, what do you call it, open and communicative, and the other partner is very quiet and shy. And sometimes they say opposites attract. So I hope that's
Yeah.
true. Because if you end up with two extroverts, maybe they won't last very long together. But,
Yeah.
in relationships, it's always, always good to be someone who can communicate, can adapt to changes,
Mm.
enjoys life. And you have increased confidence in your personal life if you have better soft skills. You will end up having a greater influence on your family, on your spouse, on your kids, because you're, communicating the right way. And of course, when times get stressful, you will be
Mm.
more able to cope with stress, and stress comes in many, many forms through change of jobs. I know, Mabina, you've been through a change of country recently and a change of kind of
Mm.
career, and all of this stuff is helped if you are able to, be
Yeah.
a cope with these things, and you'll end up with a better work-life balance because you don't let any one part of your life control everything else, right?
Mm.
So I have a question for you. What do you think of this? Have you personally witnessed or seen a situation where poor soft skills held someone back? Have you seen that personally, Mavina? At
Yes,
university
I've
or
seen.
something?
I've seen many, many times. I've seen
Oh,
that
wow.
uh,
Wow.
people have many qualities,
Hmm.
but somehow they can't, manifest that in front of
Mm,
others, and you get the impression that maybe they don't know things, but
exactly.
they, yeah, but sometimes you have to work on those people, like you have to
Mhm.
tell them, you have to um, push them into
Sure.
things. Even when I think of students, my students, when in the beginning of the year,
Mm,
they're so shy, and the impression you get is that they are not interested in studies, and they are not, but by the end of the year they become so cheerful,
mm,
chirpy, and they volunteer for doing things, and
mm,
they change because they get an environment, a suitable, maybe an environment where
mm.
a supportive one.
Yes.
And I've seen it a lot. I've seen it a lot with students,
Hmm.
and also with colleagues.
Right.
With my team members,
Mm,
you have to push them, and you have to make them aware that they, yes, they know things. They have the skills, and they should come in front and display their talent.
Very nice example. And one important word I think you used, Mabina, was at the beginning you said they seem like they're not interested.
Mm.
They seem like they don't have this because, what's inside them is not displayed because they're not using their soft skills to communicate, right?
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
they're not using body posture, facial language, and they're not.
Hmm.
So, as you said rightly, through the year, you have to kind of bring it out in them. So,
Yes.
effectively, that process you're saying is increasing their soft skills, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Cool, good. Great example again. Now, let's get to the crux of why we're here today. I promised that I would tell you what are the top soft skills employers want today. So anyone who's job hunting, looking for, a promotion should really be paying attention here. Firstly, surprise, surprise, companies want people who are good at communication. As you'll find out shortly, communication is not just about talking or speaking
Yeah.
well. Yeah, there's a lot more to communication than just talking. The
Hmm.
second soft skill that employers really want is teamwork and collaboration. They don't just want lone wolves who like to work by themselves. It's
Hmm.
useful in some jobs to be very focused, like if I was a programmer, for example, but even
Hmm.
programmers at some stage need to work within a team. So we're looking for people who are good at teamwork and collaboration. Third one, a very important one in my book, is emotional intelligence. We all know about EQ, which is
Hmm.
intelligence quotient, but there's another thing called EI, which is emotional intelligence. And
Yes.
we'll talk about that a little bit more in a slide in a second. The fourth one would be adaptability and resilience. Boy, have we had to show that in the recent pandemic. All of us had to show this, right? And
Yeah.
number five, problem solving and critical thinking. Actually, it's number five on this list, but as you remember from the World Economic Forum report, it's the first one on that list that the most important soft skill um, that is required is this whole critical thinking side of things. Right.
Hmm.
Let's just look at these very, very briefly because this is just a short webinar and I want to make sure I finish on time, but I still would like to cover each one very briefly. So, are these two people communicating? Yes, of course they are.
Yes.
Doesn't matter who's talking, who's listening, but they look at the eye contact, look at the body posture, they're communicating. So, if I put it to you that the foundation of all successful interactions is communication, and we're not just talking about talking. Communication is about transmitting and receiving information effectively.
Actively.
Right. Effectively being the word. So the two things are not only transmitting information, but receiving it and transmitting it effectively, which means we use clarity and conciseness. Two things I'm trying my very best to use in this webinar. Active listening. So when the participants like Mabina talk, I really actively listen and try to engage and try to get the best meaning from what you're transmitting to me. Adaptability is a big part of communication. One of the things I do is I do master of ceremonies at various large events. And I need to know who my audience is, and I adapt my style according to the audience. A
Hmm.
occupation, background, nationality. And so this is adaptability has to be a big part of what I do. And feedback, getting and receiving feedback and giving feedback are a beautiful part of communication. You agree with all of those, Mabina?
Yes.
So
Yes, I do.
suddenly, communication is not just about talking, is it? It's about
Yeah.
all of these. And I'm sure we could add a few more things on this,
Hmm.
right? So, did you want to say anything? Because
Just one thing,
please.
this clarity and conciseness, many people are not aware of this,
Mm,
when they talk, when they communicate.
mm,
What I've experienced is that this is a very important skill, the way you
mm,
um, the way you transfer your message or
mm,
whatever knowledge you want to, whatever information you want to give
Mhm.
to the other person or a community, it
Mhm.
has to be very clear. You have to you know be use some, some kind of empathy. You have to be in their shoes
Mhm.
to understand what and how they will understand what you want to say. Just
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lovely English word called waffle. Now, waffle isn't just something you have for breakfast. It also means that when someone is going on and on and on and talking around a subject, they're not being clear and concise. So you could say that waffling is the opposite of, clarity and conciseness, where you're using
Mm.
100 words to explain something where it could just be 10 words. Okay?
Yes.
So, and yeah, we'll look at examples of that in a second. So here's a practical example of clear communication. Instead of a rambling, waffling email that causes
Mm.
confusion, you can craft a concise, bullet pointed message that clearly outlines the objectives, actions, and next steps.
Mm.
This not only saves time, but prevents misunderstandings. How many times do you normally read and reread an important email address before you hit that send button? I personally, if it's a really important message, honestly, I will read it three, four, sometimes five times to see if
Mm.
my meaning is clear, see if I can make it a little more obvious what I'm
Yes.
asking for, right? Um,
Yes.
as this says, it avoids so much misunderstanding because then the next person will probably write back to me saying, what exactly do you mean by this point? What exactly do you mean by that point? So, a practical
Mm.
example would be, for example, let's say that you're writing to your supervisor and you'd like to take a day off because a member of your family is not very well and you need to take them to the hospital. Just a random example. Now, you could go off on a long-winded explanation saying how tough your life is and how this is happening in your life and and you can ramble a lot and talk about the stress you're having. Or if you are going to write a very simple form for that email, start with the objective. Dear Mr. So-and-so, you're writing to your supervisor. I'm
Mm.
writing to request a day off or half a day off uh, on Monday, and you put the date. So immediately your supervisor knows why you are writing to them. That's
Mm.
putting your objective right there at the beginning. Here is my justification, colon. Then you could write one, two, three bullet
Mm.
points. Yep. And say that
Yes.
exactly, my father hasn't been well lately. It would really be easy for him if I were with him at the appointment. The appointment shouldn't take me more than a few hours, so I'll be back. And then at the bottom, you could just write a simple explanation. All my work is taken care of, and there'll be no negative effect on my work. So there you go. And
Mm.
there you have a much simpler version of what could be a very confusing email. So this is just one example of hundreds of situations in which we tend to use too many words to explain one key concept. Okay? Can you think of any example, or is that example good enough for you, Mabina?
Yeah, this is a good example, the
Yeah.
way we write,
Yes.
and even the way we try to explain things
Yes.
in, because I've been in Toastmasters for quite a long time, and
Mhm.
I've left it now, but my experience has been like this.
Mhm.
People are, they beat about a bush a lot.
And you wonder
Yeah,
what
they
they're
beat
actually
about the bush.
saying. Exactly. That's another quaint expression. They beat around the bush. They don't quite get to the heart of the problem, right? Or the message.
Yeah, yeah,
Excellent, excellent. And Toastmasters is a wonderful organization that teaches you how to overcome.
yeah.
Yes. So let's move on to the second one. I could easily spend a whole hour or two on each one of these, but I want to just spend, high level on these ones. The second one is teamwork and collaboration. And again, just like communication is not just about talking, this teamwork and collaboration is not just about sharing tasks, but it's about synergizing diverse talents and perspectives
Mm.
in a team to achieve a common goal. This is really what teamwork and collaboration are about. Excelling in cross cultural communication and over
Yes.
multiple working styles. all of these form part of what teamwork is and building consensus, even across roles. So
Mm,
people who are in IT, talking to people who are in HR and people who are in communications. Um, Teamwork is about understanding your colleagues' needs. We have so many different personalities, right, that work in
mm,
one environment, and you've heard all the stresses and tensions that can occur.
mm,
I used to work for Aramco, where we have, I believe, more than 80 nationalities. That's 80. So you can imagine how much that was an advantage to the company in terms of diverse opinions, diverse backgrounds, and it was also challenging for all these people to work, from different perspectives and different opinions of the same words. You could even misinterpret words that someone says because you're from a
mm.
different culture. So it was
Yes.
a wonderful, wonderful environment. So
Mm.
I know that you have experience in Saudi Arabia yourself, Mabina. So
Yes.
you saw how many
Many,
different
many
things.
nationalities. Yes.
Absolutely. So
Mm-hmm.
let's move to emotional intelligence. This is actually a bit of a favorite of mine. And let's look at this picture for a second. Um, what's happening here? There's looks like a friendly conversation here. Uh,
Yes.
and what do you think is happening? What do you see when you see this picture?
It reminds me of it might be a father and a son,
Mhm.
or
Yep.
yeah, and it's a rare thing in
Mhm.
our society because fathers are a bit aloof, and
And authority figures, right?
yeah, they
Right.
are authority figures,
Yeah.
and emotional intelligence. You have to understand. Again, you have to get into that person, think like
Mm,
that person
mm,
and about their emotions,
mm,
because this age gap is, it brings a lot with it, because you can never understand what a 20-year-old is
mm,
thinking, what his environment is, what his conditions are, the
mm,
situation he or she is in.
mm.
And people who have that quality of understanding,
Yeah.
going to that level of understanding
Mm,
the a young person's mind.
mhm,
I think it's a very rare quality, and that is emotional intelligence. You have to control your emotions, like
mm,
anger and frustration,
mm,
in order to have an equal kind of relationship with people from all age groups.
mm. I like that. Yes.
This,
And it's absolutely, I mean, if I were to give just a very simple definition, and you're right, you're having two people here who look emotionally intelligent. And of course, we've got a full sight of the older gentleman here. You can see his eye contact, his smile, his hand gestures is all a very welcoming approach.
yes,
And so, a really simple definition of emotional intelligence says that you have a lot of self awareness, you have empathy. So, if I could just cover self awareness first, you are in understand your own feelings, and people with high emotional intelligence are less likely to have a bad temper or to react negatively when they have a stressful situation because they're aware of their own feelings. Empathy,
yes,
on the other hand, is putting yourself in someone else's shoes, understanding
yes,
their version of the world. And then all that leads to you having more social skills. So if you look around you and your relatives, friends, colleagues, and you find someone who displays these things, they seem always very in control of their emotions. They don't have arguments with people because they can understand the other person's point of view, and they always seem to know the right thing to say, and they're liked by people. That's a simple way to put it. You can pretty much bet that they have a very, very high emotional intelligence. So that would be just a brief explanation of that. Let's move on to number four, which was adaptability and resilience. We have, I think this is a chameleon on the left. And what's a chameleon famous for? You remember, Mabina?
yes, yes. It changes colors.
There you go. I know a few people like this who can change color according to their situation. But but the main point is that they're very, very adaptable. And in fact, the chameleon's adaptability saves its life because it
Yes.
suddenly cannot be attacked by another animal because the animal can't see it. It'll land on a leaf and turn
Mm-hmm.
the color of that leaf, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
all have had to really show a lot of adaptability and resilience. Now, if I had to get, even recently in the pandemic, which seems a long time ago now, but boy, did we have a tough time during that, right?
Yeah.
We all have our own stories. We've all lost people. I've certainly lost friends and relatives in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And life
Same
suddenly
here.
went, yeah, life suddenly went crazy, right? Couldn't even go down to a coffee shop, let alone another city.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
again, just looking at a dictionary definition, adaptability is the ability to adjust to new conditions and thrive in uncertain environments. I remember at Aramco, one day I was happily working at my desk and my supervisor came past and said, Rahman, the whole company is being sent home. So you'll be working from home from tomorrow. I just looked at her face. I thought, are you serious? She's, yes, it's been company wide. We're all going home. Obviously, that was around March, I believe, March 2020.
Yes,
Yeah,
March.
the whole
Yeah,
lockdown, right?
same date here. We got an email not to come to
Exactly.
work.
The pandemic actually
Yeah.
started around the back end of 2019, around December
Yeah.
2019, was when we
Mm-hmm.
first heard this whole Wuhan and COVID-19
Mm-hmm.
situation. But it wasn't until March
In
that the world suddenly started taking it seriously, right? And
yes.
countries started locking down. And I know Saudi locked down,
Mm.
Pakistan locked down. Now, one minute I was working my desk and then suddenly I'm working from home. And I said, well, how long? And she said, well, until further notice. That further notice ended up being 8 months. I was,
Yes.
yeah, I was working from home for 8 months. And people all had different experiences of this whole notion of working from home. And
Yeah.
alhamdulillah, it was not a bad time for me. Although I hated being locked away from my family, I was living by myself. I thought,
Mm-hmm.
let me try this during this period to, improve my mental and physical health. And I ended up losing 30 kilos in weight because
Yeah, and it's strange because I also lost weight
oh
during the
wow, so we're
pandemic.
in the same boat. Whereas other people were learning to cook their favorite dishes and putting on lots and lots of pounds. So it's just how
Yes.
you view this. But no, I decided that I was going to go the other way. And
Mm-hmm.
then if we look at resilience, there's two words up there: adaptability, resilience. So resilience is the capacity to bounce back from setbacks and maintain a positive outlook. How many of us don't have some kind of setbacks in life, times when we feel that it's nothing's happening for us, and resilience is the level to which we can bounce back from those periods. And I think alhamdulillah, in our religion also we are taught patience, sabr,
Yes.
and we're taught gratitude and always say alhamdulillah. Our
Alhamdulillah.
problems are the dreams of people who are below us, right? So we often worry about
Mm.
things which another person would love to have as a problem. So we've talked about the pandemic, but that word, still scares me and it brings back lots of memories. But alhamdulillah, we're very grateful that we all got through it. Well, most of us got through it. And here we are back in a normal world again.
Mm-hmm.
So the last one, I believe, is problem solving and critical thinking. Let's just do a little deep dive into this. So one thing you can do for this is identify the core issue and don't just think about the symptoms. You have to go beyond the symptoms to uncover what is the root cause of what's happening here. Try to think deeper. We have to analyze and strategize. So look at lots of different options, consider implications, and plan. And what I like to do is actually network with friends, colleagues, or look online and not just go for the first answer which comes to my mind and
Mm-hmm.
innovate solutions, right? So develop creative and effective approaches with people around you because these three things alone are the headlines of how you can become a problem solver and a critical thinker.
Yes.
Right. So let's have a reflection. And again, I apologize for the high level nature of the slides, but this session is just meant to give you, some food for thought and to be able to think. So reflecting, Which one do you think you'd like to start improving today? And I'll put all five of them on the screen for you. So I will let you have two if you like. So if you were to choose one or two, Navina, which ones do you think that you'd love to start working on to improve your soft skills?
Um, I think I've had my share of teamwork and collaboration, and it has been good.
Good.
Yeah, and I think I am quite adaptable and resilient.
You sound like
I
that,
always
yes.
tell my husband that living with you for a century tells people how much adaptability and resilience I have.
Careful, careful. I know
And
your husband, so I can talk to him.
and critical thinking, yes.
Mm,
In fact, I learned to think critically when I started my research on it.
mhm,
And I think I have to work on communication and networking.
mhm. Great.
That is the thing I have to work on, because you know that 2 years back I came into a completely new place. I thought it's my
Mm,
country, but I
mhm.
was so foreign over here,
Yeah,
and I can still feel that foreignness.
often
So I
happens.
have to work, yeah, in this environment especially. I have to
And
work on my communication,
network,
like
network.
networking. Yes,
Mhm, mhm.
networking.
And communication is different in different environments, as you rightly say, that the
Yes.
communication that you're doing in Saudi might not be the same way people communicate in in Pakistan. So yeah,
Yeah, it's a completely different environment.
tell me about it. I feel that every time I come to Pakistan. So you have to almost talk in a different language, literally and
Yes.
figuratively.
Yes, yes.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So,
So,
I mean, I'm not going to spend too much time on this slide, but really, just to give you brief strategies, communication is something that you learn over, months and years of practice of the communication, the art of communication, and I've been practicing them since I was a kid. My background has come from public speaking, even from the world of stand-up comedy, which taught me a lot of engagement skills. So it's just practice, practice, practice would be the main strategy behind communication, and observe others who are good communicators. Teamwork.
mm,
I never had a chair in my cubicle when I was working. So I always stood at my desk, I had a standing desk, which encouraged me very regularly to walk out of my cubicle and to
mm,
walk and talk to people. And because I love people so much and I love getting to know people, it made me a natural team worker. So that's something that you should just get used to. Don't always feel you have to work in a silo, but get others' opinions, right? Emotional
mm.
intelligence, I can recommend a book. It's by Daniel Goleman,
Yeah.
Goleman, and I remember saying this in a previous session. And it's just simply called Emotional Intelligence. It's a New York Times bestseller. So if you are serious about improving your emotional intelligence, which again is learned mainly from the University of Life, right? As they say,
Yeah.
which
I think
stated,
basically it is discipline.
mm,
Disciplining yourself. When you are self-aware, you
mm,
discipline yourself.
absolutely.
And you discipline yourself, and I think you become more empathetic
Mhm.
when you discipline yourself and you
Mhm.
are more aware of yourself. Then you can
Mhm.
understand others too.
100%. Because a big part of emotional intelligence, as we saw, was self-awareness. And with self-awareness comes self-discipline, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
I'm going to use a little bit of that self-discipline to go to the gym straight after this session. And I'm made my mind up.
Good.
I'm gonna go, and it's gonna happen. Inshallah. Adaptability, and we've spoken a lot about that. But I feel that one of the strategies is to make sure that when you do go through changes, capture the lessons from each change you go through so that hopefully you become
Yes.
better and better, right? Don't just go through
Yes.
the situation and go with phew, I made it through alive, but sit down and contemplate, think, what did I learn? Iterate from this experience. How many of us sat down when the pandemic finally finished to actually take on board the lessons we learned about, you know, adaptability and resilience? What do we learn about ourselves? What do we learn about others? So I would say that that's a big, big chunk of becoming more adaptable. Problem solving. We just looked in the last slide, didn't we, at the three core areas, look beyond the
Mm-hmm.
initial and diagnose and be innovative in your solutions and teamwork with others. So that's a very, very brief guideline on how to help those. So let's take action. I would like to ask, and you already answered this, Mabina. So, what's one small concrete step you'll take this week to practice and strengthen a soft skill? So, you chose communication and networking. So, I want you after this session to really sit down and to kind of make some notes on a pad and say, okay, I want to get better at communications. I want to get better at networking. What are the concrete steps that I will take in order to make that happen? Okay. If you want some help, I know that you're a member of the community, which I'm just about to tell everyone. Drop a little note in there. Get some help from members. Be vulnerable and communicate your challenges. So that in itself will help you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the big key idea I'd like to leave you with in this webinar, I thank you for making it this far. Soft skills equals power skills equals
Mm.
career superpowers. I want you to think about it like that. So, soft skills are not a nice to have if you want. You've learned in this webinar that soft skills are, multidisciplined and it's not just about being a good speaker. And these will really supercharge your career. Now, outside of these webinars, one of the key activities I do is I'm a facilitator, I'm a trainer. So I train people in this environment. But what I've done recently is I've set up an online school, which hopefully you can access from anywhere in the world. So here's a QR code. If you want to point to this with your phone, you will be able to get through to a online community which is free and quick to join called Learn to Achieve. And a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
engaging in there. I am going to offer a lot more training courses coming up soon. I'm planning them all. So please do consider joining this group. And that's the end of the webinar. I'd love to have your questions. Any questions or even comments you have about this webinar, I'd love to hear them. So anything, Mabina, or you've been participating all the way through. So appreciate it.
Yeah, I think it was a really good session,
Thank
very
you.
effective, and it made me think about things
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
what steps can be taken.
Mm,
Seriously, what steps can be taken?
exactly.
I spoke about communication.
Mhm.
uh, I never thought I lacked this skill. But coming to a new environment, a
Mhm.
changed environment,
Mhm.
a very different environment, moving from Saudi Arabia to Pakistan,
Mhm.
it was a complete change, at 360 degrees.
Yeah.
So, adapting to this place has taken some time.
Mm,
And I think I need a different set of communication skills
there you go.
to, yeah, to, you know, to be here, to be more efficient, to be
Mhm.
more, to make my life more purposeful.
Mhm.
I think I have to learn some new skills too,
Wow.
because this place is completely different.
Well, you just in that last 2 minutes, you, I believe, displayed almost all the different parts of a high soft skills person because you communicated your feelings very clearly. You are showing a lot of self-awareness. You are showing that you're adaptable when you need to be. You're not just saying, okay, I'm in a different surroundings, but I'm going to stay
Mm.
the same. You're talking about adaptability, you're talking about resilience and networking. I think you've pretty much ticked all the boxes, Mabina.
Mm.
So well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And if you keep up that attitude, I'm sure you're going to do really, really well. But
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
want to thank you. You've made this webinar even more interesting for me as a presenter with all your comments and questions. So thank you so much. And I hope that people who are watching the recording of this webinar will also appreciate. the contribution you made. So
Thank you.
thank you
Thank you.
so much. And really, thank you for being here. And I hope that you enjoyed this webinar. All the very best and have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of Ramadan. Bye-bye.
Yeah, sure.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.